Good morning, people. How we doing today? It's Wednesday, August 21st. This month has evaporated into thin air as well. Interesting stuff. What we got going on right now, we've got a few news events here before we talk about the overall market. Some interesting action into yesterday's, pretty much a lot of the session, right? Kind of choppier movement along with very, very heavy negative imbalances that were shaping up on the S&P. So let's take a look at what's going on, because one of the big news things that kind of struck me yesterday was the talks about job revisions. Tomorrow we have the unemployment claims that are coming out pre-market. In the midst of what do we have? Tomorrow we start the Jackson Hole Symposium, right? That's a big topic of conversation. And the job revisions, right? They could be getting pretty serious here because the job growth in the U.S. for the past 12 months, ending March, is expected to have been much weaker than estimated. So that's what's kind of circulating right now. Some fear of the preliminary benchmark revision, which will be published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There's one thing that's getting published this morning. I believe it's already been published, but tomorrow we have the main unemployment claims, which we're more so interested in because there's talks about a unemployment claim revision of 1 million, right? So the revision from today, right, it may be even larger or as much as 1 million realistically. I don't think that number actually came out. Let me just make sure, because the unemployment claims are tomorrow pre-market. I'm aware of this. But right now, as I load this, I don't really know what's going on. But it could also spur calls for deeper interest rate cuts amid concerns that the Fed may have waited too long to start its easing cycle as markets continue to press into all-time highs. So that's pretty interesting. And the spotlight's going to be on Jerome Powell tomorrow and on Friday. What's going on right now as well, we have the FOMC meeting minutes that are coming out today, later in the day at 2 p.m. So that's going to give us, well, it's pretty much going to break down. It's just like a written speech and document based on the past July 31st Fed meeting, where they kept rates unchanged for a consecutive time and potentially the last time before this expected cut, which happens in September. So we're going to see how that shapes up. This is not necessarily loading right now, but like if I'm checking the news this morning, I don't see anything related to these jobs. Unemployment claims come out tomorrow, so I think everyone's going to have eyes on that. That's what I'm going to be watching for, to see those revisions. In terms of some of the other news, right, some non-compete news that came out, the FTC, its ban on non-compete has been struck down by the federal judge in Texas on grounds that the agency does not have the authority to issue such a broad-based rule. Independent contractors and employees, whether paid or unpaid, were included under the ban, which also required employers to rescind existing non-compete and actively inform workers that they are no longer in effect. About 30 million Americans are currently tied to non-compete, according to the FTC, representing about 20% of the U.S. workforce. The Commission's lack of evidence as to why they chose to impose such a sweeping prohibition instead of targeting specific harmful non-competes renders the rule arbitrary and mundane, realistically. So U.S. District Judge Ada Brown wrote in the ruling, the role of an administrative agency is to do as told by Congress, not to do what the agency thinks it should do. The FTC exceeded its statutory authority, and rule would cause irreparable harm. So invalidating and banning the disclosure deeply divided many inside and the businesses and the business communities led by Chamber of Commerce. There were arguments that the agreements protect trade secrets and relationships, as well as investments needed to train or recruit employees. On the other side, claims were made that non-competes prevent workers from freely switching jobs, can deprive them of higher wages or better working conditions as well, and would constrict the talent pool for businesses that are looking to expand. So that was some of the news, right? It's not super relevant to the employment claims as well as what's going on, because we got Jay Powell's not on the mic today, but Jay Powell comes on the mic tomorrow. We have Jay Powell on the mic on Friday as well, so eyes are going to be on the Jackson Hole. Today we have the FOMC, right, which is a prepared statement that we're going to watch as well and see how that shapes up. So today is the expected higher movement and volatility start of the week, which could kind of happen into the afternoon session. Right now, the daily volume pre-market is still very crappy. It's like super abysmal. We're sitting at 85,000 contracts traded, which is even worse than yesterday at this time, Because like remember yesterday I was talking about some pretty garbage overall volume on the S&P 500 futures, and today even worse realistically. So today we have like 20,000 less contracts that have been traded on this pre-market session than yesterday, which is grounds for a slower, choppier session in the morning. We saw a bit of chop yesterday during the morning session. It was kind of just like mundane movement throughout the majority of yesterday's trading hours. And one of the main things that I noticed that's like super interesting here is the vast amount of market selling that was happening into these lows. So it was just a lot continuous from like 56.28 on the S&P all the way down to the 12, right? It's a fairly significant amount, right? You're seeing